Thank you to realme for sponsoring this video. All right, so if you're looking to buy a flagship smartphone, you are looking at over $1,000, sometimes even as much as $1,500. It's a lot of money, but for that $1,500, whether you're buying an iPhone, Samsung, Pixel, or any of the other flagship phones, you generally at least know you are getting a really good camera for that money. That's sort of the peace of mind that you're paying for. But if you're looking in the mid-range, you're looking to pay half of a flagship, sometimes even a third of a flagship in that $500 range, you don't know what you're gonna get. There's not one brand that jumps out for like, I know no matter what, this is going to be an incredible camera. That's the space that realme is trying to occupy. That they have put a ton of effort and time to making sure you are getting an incredible camera experience at a mid-range price. And their sort of introduction into this world is their latest, the Realme 13 Pro and 13 Pro Plus. That's bringing a ton of AI. So let's take a look at both of those and see if they're onto something. Before I get to everything that the phones can do, let me do one of my favorite things in any video and just thank you for being awesome people, supporting the channel all these years. Give you a chance to win $500, made it super easy. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me the first thing you take a picture with your brand new Realme 13 Pro Plus. Tell me a fact about yourself, a joke, whatever. Just make sure there's a way to contact you either from your YouTube page or in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up, let it run for 10 days, open to anyone in the world. All the information you need will be down in the description. All right, so you look at this phone, like it's hard to ignore. It's like literally biggest feature. I mean, it's big on the back and it's the camera. Realme is going all out with this camera system on the 13 Pro Plus, and they're doing it trying to use state-of-the-art hardware paired with cutting-edge AI to bring you the best photos possible. So here, take a look at some camera samples so you can get familiar with how the camera takes photos. And like there's a lot packed in here. You can look how it's representing colors. Look how it's representing skin tone. Look how it's handling shadows and contrast. Look how it's dealing with portrait mode. All the stuff that you'd expect from, not even dare to say, like a flagship phone. I think too that if you saw these photos, you probably wouldn't expect they came from a phone that costs in that $500 range. And that is a giant feather in the cap, I think, to what realme is trying to do. On the hardware front, this is the only phone in the price range that features dual Sony 50 megapixel cameras, and actually the first device to be equipped with Sony's LYT-701 sensor for the main camera. And for the second 50 megapixel sensor, it's paired with a periscope telephoto camera for 3 times optical zoom. The LYT-701 sensor is gonna be paired with optical image stabilization and is focused on really good low light performance. So if you wanna take great photos at night, this is going to be your ticket. And again, in a phone in the $500 price point. It's also using TUV Rhineland high resolution camera certified, which is, as far as I could tell, a first. From a hardware perspective, also, this thing is packing like a really big punch. But then you add that AI features and you're getting even more. So, you know, you hear AI everywhere, but this is using Realme's HyperImage Plus camera system, which is industry's first 3-layer photo architecture. So you get that hardware I talked about, but you're also getting AI and cloud-based image editing. All right, so just to show you, like here's a before and after of one of those AI features. So Realme is calling this one AI Ultra Clarity. Basically, it's meant to analyze photos and kind of offer improvements based on AI. Sometimes the changes can be like really subtle, like smoothing of the skin or removal of blemishes, which I enjoy, fixing some lighting, maintaining skin tones. It can sharpen edges, like that kind of thing. But sometimes the AI can get a bit carried away and make features look different. But to be fair, it's still in beta, so with it being AI, it should obviously get better over time. You don't like have to use it at all, but if you want to, it's there. Either way though, you're gonna get a really nice looking photo. It actually compares pretty favorably to the flagship Samsung phones, you know, the Galaxy S line, as far as the AI features. And again, those are phones typically at a much higher price point. So speaking on that AI stuff, you're getting new features across the board. You're getting high quality optics. One thing you might wanna do is shoot raw photos. So you can get the most control out of your images. And with AI, there's now AI denoise, which will help tremendously making those raw photos easier to work with. You also get AI hyper raw algorithm that will perform calculations to restore the true look of an image while sort of keeping all that raw data. I do it too. I hear AI and I just like zone out completely. But this is AI for photography. It's actually really useful. You are getting a better image than what you took originally. And that is useful. And if you're using it to like take portraits, there's more things you can do. There's AI pure bokeh, AI natural skin tone, which can make your subject pop from the background by performing really pixel level segmentation and using AI image recognition to optimize skin tones. And after you take the photo, you get a bunch of AI editing features. Again, like AI smart removal, AI group photo enhance, enhancing the detail of faces and big group shots. You get AI audio zoom and video, which focus on the most important part of the video that needs to be heard. There is a ton here, and all these AI features paired with the great hardware I talked about gives you a stupidly solid camera system that can tackle almost any situation, which is incredible at any price. I'm not trying to compare this camera system to a $1,500 phone, but I do want to sort of emphasize what you get and the power that you get at around a $500 price point is thus far been unheard of. And I think Realme has absolutely knocked this out of the park. And they could have gone a lot of different directions. They could have pushed for screen or power. They could have pushed for a lot of different directions, but they went camera. And when this whole video came together, Realme asked if I wanted to talk to some of the folks that made these decisions, because I had a lot of questions before I kind of talked to you guys about it. And they gave me the opportunity to talk to folks and to talk to people who helped make this phone possible. And I wanted to ask them like why they did all this. So I want to introduce you guys to the head of product marketing, Mr. Francis Wong.
Hi, nice to meet you, John, and nice to be in your show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here and for agreeing to sort of answer, I think, questions that generally like people have about the products. Sort of, I started my YouTube career talking about phones. Phones are still what I cover more than anything else. And a lot of the questions nowadays, the big differentiating factor with most phones comes down to camera. I think when people buy phones, cameras are the big thing they're using to determine which phone to buy. How important was camera quality when you guys were designing and then ultimately thinking about trying to sell a phone?
When we are talking about smartphone camera, I think smartphone has become the single most important things to take any pictures or shoot any videos in the last 20 years. After the smartphone was democratized, when everybody started using the smartphone camera started actually helping people to capture their moments. But overall speaking, camera is the single most important selling point for any product in the market. Well, if you look at those premium brands in the market today, there's no brand that becomes premium without being relied on the capabilities of the camera, right? You may already have your best brand in your mind. It might be Samsung or Apple or Google. They're all like 600 to or even about 800 USD. But in mid-range, like below 600 USD, you may not know which brand is the #1 right now. So our aim, Realme's aim, is to become the #1 in that segment.
That makes sense. So for people to think about Realme, like they think about the flagship manufacturers, they think of, like you said, Apple, Google, Samsung, those cameras. In the mid-range, you want Realme to be the first thought that people have.
Yeah. So then we started, since we have this target, we need to know which direction we want to build on the Realme's camera. Well, we did a lot of survey. We found out that the single most important thing they care about is clarity. We may not be the top brand in terms of making the tech innovation, but in terms of making the democratizing the new technologies, we've always been good at it. We are good at bringing the high-end technology to the mid-range, to the budget level. In 2022, I actually want to show you, you see we have so many phones here today. So in 2022, we launched this Realme 10 Pro. It is the first phone we've used our own hypershot imaging system. It is a comprehensive improvement of the AI photography, where by that time, many brands were still focusing on hardware. We started noticing the importance of the software. And later on, we've launched Realme 12 Pro Plus. It is the first phone in the, let's say, 600 USD below to use the MX890 sensor, and it has a dedicated periscope camera. So we were one of the few brands that started making some brave move in the mid-range segment. So I can say camera quality is really important, and we've been dedicated to make our impact in the industry.
That's actually a good point. Obviously, everything has AI. AI is a huge talking point for everything. How is AI like changing the way that consumers think about smartphone technology? And like, does AI allow like you guys, the phone makers, to sort of do things that weren't possible before?
So I think the development, like I've just said, on the hardware of the smartphone has reached a ceiling. Now we already have the 200 megapixel camera. They are all different kinds of flagship level sensors, and but the imaging quality in the last 3 years, there is no significant changes. It's a minor improvement for any of the brand. So if the smartphone camera want to make a breakthrough, then we need to rely on the software. And I think AI is a driving force for the next decade.
There's a lot of features, there's a lot of things that are packed in to the Realme 13 Pro line, the 13 Pro and the Pro Plus. Not just cameras, from screen quality to charging, battery life, software features. Out of all of that, what are some of the things that are in these phones that you guys are most proud of?
We've been more and more clear about what we want on the Realme number series. In the past, sometimes we have a great processor on number series, sometimes we have good camera, sometimes charging speed. In the last 2 years, we've been discussing what is the single most important thing that we want our users to remember from Realme's number series. We see it should be the camera. So 13 Pro Plus is our, let's say, the first AI camera, enabled camera phone. In the hardware, we were the first brand that has been using the Lithium 600 as to introduce it as a periscope telephoto lens. This is a 1 by 1.95 inch big sensor. And in the software, we've used the AI Hyper RAW algorithm, which gives the better details and more advanced colors. The RAW algorithm basically are mostly used by the flagships. We were one of the few brands that started using it on the mid-range because it requires a lot of capability from the processor. In this front, I can say that we are like 6 months ahead of our competitor. And if you have any feedbacks, feel free to reach us. We want to listen, we want to improve.
There's a few things I thought were interesting there. First, they know why people are buying iPhones or Samsung phones or Pixel phones. They're not like trying to replace those, but them wanting to be thought in the same realm of those companies when it comes to mid-range phones, I thought was really interesting. It was a good sense of self-awareness and where they are in kind of the pantheon of smartphones. So camera's obviously a huge part of this phone. It doesn't mean that Realme like forgot to focus on like everything else. This has a really nice premium design kind of inside and out. On the outside, you've got pretty solid materials like glass, metal, that does give it a more premium feel. It doesn't feel like mid-rangey, if that makes sense. Also on the screen too, I love a good screen. There's a 120 hertz OLED curved vision display. Again, bonkers at this price point. Realme is calling this, and if you've heard this before, let me know, Pro XDR display. That just means you're getting really great contrast and vivid color. Also has things like high-res dual stereo speakers, which are high-res audio certified. It's got a really fast built-in fingerprint reader, tactile engine for really good haptics. Those are going to handle like whatever you need. To keeping this thing juiced up, you got a 5200 milliamp hour battery, which says 80 watts Super VOOC charging. So we charge to 50% in 19 minutes. It takes just 49 minutes to charge all the way. And again, at a $500-ish price point. So yeah, the camera is a big feature of this phone, but Realme did not skimp on any other of the hardware features. If you want something in a phone, like this probably has it. And I think what Realme did was very intentional. You're not getting incredible camera, but like a really crappy screen, incredible camera and a bad processor. You are getting a really good version of everything that makes this phone stand out on its own. Then you factor in, again, $500 price point, and I think Realme has an absolute home run on their hands. If you are looking for a phone in this price point, or looking for a phone in general, and you have the opportunity, just check it out. I'm not saying you should buy it or not buy it, but check it out. Take a few photos with it, see what the AI can do. And if camera's important to you, I think you'll probably walk away with a Realme 13 Pro or 13 Pro Plus. And if you want to learn more, check them out for yourself. Of course, all the links will be down below.